Aloha mai kako, Avelina mai ke aloha no Hawaii. Hello everyone and welcome to Ke Aloha no Hawaii. In this video, we are learning Helu manawa ana, telling time. This lesson will really be half vocabulary, half grammar, so I'm thinking it's gonna start a general Hawaiian conversation video series. And one big note before we begin, we're telling time, which of course means we're going to be using numbers. So if you didn't catch my video on numbers and don't know the Hawaiian words for the various numbers, I would recommend pausing this video and going to watch the video on numbers. In this video, we'll start by looking at some important vocabulary for time. Then we'll start simple by learning how to tell time on the hour before moving on to telling time on the half hour. We'll look at how to tell time past the hour, as well as telling time until or before the hour. And then we'll wrap up by looking at how we're going to express AM or PM by using traditional Hawaiian divisions of the day. So let's begin with some important vocabulary. Now, before I get started here, let me note, in this video, we are learning kind of this modern concept of time, 24 hours in a day, usually on a 12-hour clock, 60 minutes in an hour, etc. And this concept of time to Hawaiians, or ancient or older Hawaiians, was really a post-contact, post-colonization concept of time. Before that, they didn't use the same designation and division of time, which means when we learn these vocabulary words, you'll notice they're really just taken from English. So for example, we have the word hour, which in Hawaiian is hola, or the hour, ka hola. Minute, minuke, ka minuke. Second, kekona, ke kekona. The word for watch or clock, it's the same word, uaki, kawaki. You can kind of see how uaki comes from the word watch. And notice there's a few alternate spellings. These are maybe the two most common that you'll see. And what you'll notice here is what I was talking about with these Hawaiian words, just coming directly from the English words. And if you saw my video on the months, you'll know this concept of transliteration, which is taking a word in a foreign language, in this instance, English, and when creating that same word in your language, instead of doing that based on the meaning, you're literally just doing it based on the letters, taking the way the word is spelled in the foreign language and just transferring that over to your own alphabet. So you can see that pretty clearly in minute, minuke. Now, one other word that we should look at when it comes to telling time, and I'm going to start with the Hawaiian word, hapa. Now, some of you might be familiar with the word hapa. It is a term often used for people of mixed race. I am proudly hapa. And this word likely does come from the English word half. You can kind of see those look similar. But in Hawaiian, it doesn't specifically mean half. It really just means a part of a whole. It doesn't need to be half. It could be a third. It could be a fourth. It could be an eighth. And if you want to specify which fraction or part of a whole it is, you're going to build off of this word hapa. So you'll start with hapa, and then to the end of that word, you're going to add on the base form of the number. So let's look at a couple examples that are common when telling time. First, we have this word hapalua, So again, you have hapa, which means part of a whole, and then lua, which is our base form of the number 2. So that, of course, means half, 2 parts. And then hapaha, ha is the base form of 4, so that means quarter. Okay, so let's look at how we actually tell time. How about we start with, how do we ask, what time is it? That phrase in Hawaiian is, o ka hola ihia keia, o ka hola ihia keia. Now let's break this down. Kahola, we just learned, means the hour. Ehia is a word you've seen in some of my other videos. It is an interrogative word which means which. And keia, we've also seen in my other videos. That means this. So okahola ehia keia can more literally be translated as this is which hour. And to answer, it is blank o'clock, will have a very similar structure. Okahola blank keia. So we'll just replace ehia with whatever number o'clock it is. For example, it is 1 o'clock. Okahola ekahi keia. Okahola ekahi keia. Now, a few notes here. First, for any of you who watched my grammar videos, you probably recognize the structure of this sentence. It is an equational sentence, arpapeke aike o, in which we have 2 nouns or noun phrases that we're trying to say are equal to each other. In this last sentence, we have kahola ekahi, the first hour or 1 o'clock. And then our second phrase, keia, this. And this translates to this is 1 o'clock. Another note, you'll see, and this is another thing we learned in my grammar videos, the word order doesn't change between a question and a statement. You just, do a different intonation when you're asking a question. But so unlike English, there's no switching of the word orders. So, okahola ehia keia. Which hour is this? What time is it? Okahola ekahi keia. It is 1 o'clock. This is the first hour. It is, this is 1 o'clock. And then the last thing I'll note, because I haven't talked about this in my past videos, a lot of times in English, when we use it to talk about something abstract or vague rather than a specific object, in this case, it is 1 o'clock. What are you talking about? It, what? That's not an object. You're talking about something abstract, Essentially, you're talking about the time. When we use in English it to talk about those vague abstract things, in Hawaiian, you're most often going to be using the word this, keia, instead of, it, which would be like oia. So that's what you'll notice in some of these phrases. Okay, so that is telling time on the hour when it's exactly, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Well, what about telling time on the half hour? 1:30, 2:30, 3:30. It's going to be really easy. We'll start with the phrase we just learned, akahola blank keia, and we're just going to insert that word for half. Do you remember what it is? Hapalua. So put that hapalua right before hola. Oka hapalua hola blank keia. Again, the blank is where you put the number of hour. So to say it is 1:30, oka hapalua hola ekahi keia. And of course, when you're answering someone, someone asks you what time it is, O ka hola e hia keia. You don't necessarily need to answer in a complete sentence like we have been. You could just say, o ka hapalua hola e kahi, or even hapalua hola e kahi. 1:30 rather than it is 1:30. Okay, let's look at telling time past the hour. So what do I mean by that? If you said, oh, it's 1:15. Now to express that, you'll use a phrase, ihala kahola, which means past the hour. Hala is the verb to pass. So ihala kahola, past the hour. And to say a phrase, 2:15, we just build that phrase. Start with quarter, if you remember that from the vocabulary we learned at the beginning. Kahapaha. Then our phrase for past, or really past the hour. Ihala kahola. And then which hour? 2. Elua. O ka hola e hia keia. What time is it? 2:15. Kahapaha ihala ka hola elua. What if you wanted to say 10 minutes past 3? Well, we start with the phrase 10 minutes. Remember, minute is minuke and 10, do you remember, is umi. So our phrase, umi minuke, or commonly you will add that he before it. He umi minuke. Then our phrase for past the hour, ihala kahola, and then which hour? 3. Ekolu. O ka hola e hia keia. What time is it? 10 minutes past 3. He umi minuke ihala ka hola ekolu. And you can use this same structure to say, it is 58 minutes past the hour. It is 1:58. You can go as high as you need to. But of course, just like in English, as you're getting close to the next hour, you might instead want to express it as how many minutes or how big a chunk of time is before the hour. So we're again needing to use a phrase to express that. In this case, it is ikoe kani kahola, which really means before the hour or until the hour. And this phrase literally means remaining until the hour rings. Ikoe means remaining. Koe is the verb to remain. Kani is the verb to ring, like bells ringing. So ikoe kani kahola, it's how much time is remaining until the next hour rings, essentially. It's very poetic. So if you wanted to say the phrase 1:45, start with quarter, kahapaha, then our phrase for before the hour, ikoe kani kahola, and then our number of hours, 2, elua. O ka hola e hia keia. What time is it? 1:45. Kahapaha ikoe kani kahola elua. And if we want to say 10 minutes till 3, start with 10 minutes. He umi minuke. Our phrase for before the hour, ikoe kani kahola, and then our hour, 3, ekolu. O ka hola e hia keia. What time is it? He umi minuke ikoe kani kahola ekolu. 10 minutes till 3. And so finally, let's look at some actual traditional Hawaiian words for time. I mentioned how they didn't use, specific hours and minutes and seconds. That was really a concept post-contact, but they did have words for various times of the day. They weren't necessarily exact. A lot of times they had to do with, where the sun was. But let's learn these because these are phrases we are going to use to express AM and PM, and I'll talk a little bit about how we do that. So let's learn some new words. Kakahiaka, or ke kakahiaka. This is the Hawaiian word to talk about morning. And specifically, that time when the sun is finally up until late morning, like 10:30, 11 a.m. Then we have avakeya, keya, and this is midday, from about 11 a.m. to 1:30 p.m., kind of the typical time you might take lunch. Awinala, ka'awinala. This will be mid-afternoon. Ahi-ahi, ki-ahi-ahi. This will be evening, early evening, so from about 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Then you have po, kapo. And this is, night, late at night, when it's definitely dark, the stars are out from about 9 p.m. to, around midnight. We have omoe, ki omoe, and this is around midnight. And then finally, wana'o, kawana'o. And this will be that time, after midnight until dawn. So let's look at how we use these different terms to express, AM and PM. What we'll do is use the phrase kahola blank, and you'll fill in the number for the actual hour, and then add on o ka or ke, and then the vocabulary for the day division. And that is our video on telling time. As always, mahalo nui for watching. This is a really useful one because we tell time every day. So you really should get a lot of opportunity to be able to practice this. As always, please like this video. If you had any questions or comments, you can leave a comment below. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I'm back on releasing videos more regularly. I'll continue to have more vocabulary videos. I'll probably have some more of these more conversation videos where we go over more full phrases. And then eventually later this year, I do want to do a whole level 2 grammar series. So definitely subscribe so as soon as new videos release. And as I mentioned in my last vlog, it is Hawaiian Language Month, Ka Mahina o Lele Hawaii, which was established to really encourage the use of the Hawaiian language. And so this is the perfect time to share this channel with your friends and family, get them to subscribe, get them to learn Hawaiian. I've set a goal of trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, and that's going to allow me to just better interact with you all. Okay, until next time, a hui hou.